Welcome back to the Villa View. It's time for the post-match pint as Villa have fallen 3-1 to West Ham at Villa Park. Obviously an evening that not many of us have enjoyed, but we are still going to dedicate the show to Mike Cafferty, someone who you will have seen on Twitter, social media in the last few months, the last year or so, someone who was fighting really hard, battling with cancer. You'd never know by his positive attitude what he was going through. Such a lovely guy, always wanted to speak to everyone, always wanted to remain positive on social media despite what he was going to. So tonight we'll be dedicating this show to Mike Cafferty, who passed away at the weekend, aged 39, after a battle with terminal cancer. Had actually got to know Mike a little bit via messages over the last few months, or since he's been going through his treatment, and he was a massive fan of the Villa View, and as I say, just such a lovely guy. I mean, when I first got in touch with him, you'd have honestly thought the way he reacted, he was speaking to Jack Grealish, but he said he was speaking to me, and just a welcoming guy, someone who just wanted the best for Villa, wanted the best for his family, and wanted the best for his kids. You'll notice at the top of the screen there is a GoFundMe to help support Mike's family. If you can, every little helps. If you can help and spare some change and give towards helping Mike's family's future, that would be absolutely great. And I'm sure he'd really appreciate it. And Dolan, someone you've been speaking to as well, just a lovely bloke, and someone who was a credit to Aston Villa Football Club. And you can see that the picture there, he'd have absolutely loved that picture, wouldn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it just puts everything into perspective, you know. And as you said, just his whole outlook in life and positivity on life, and you know, it shows you what the small things sort of meant so much to him. Even over Christmas, when he got to spend Christmas with his kids, and I saw pictures of him opening up his presents on Christmas Day, and you know. Just a real inspiration, you know, because we all have bad days and rough days, and we all get angry after Arsenal to lose, and you know it is what it is. But when you see someone like Mike and the story he's gone through and the way he's handled himself and the sheer class in which he's handled himself over the last year, I could never do it. I wouldn't be as strong as he was. I mean, I probably got speaking to him really over the last, I can't remember, maybe the last 7, 8, 9 months. We sort of I'm not sure how it came about, but I think maybe, as you say, he watched the Villa View, and then he would message me, and then when I found out about his story, I would pass his details on to a few of the Aston Villa guys. I know Neil Cutler passed his details on the Neil Cutler, and I know Neil dropped him a little message, and I know that meant the world to him as well. So yeah, just, you know, my thoughts are with Mike and family and his sister and everyone that's kind of part of his family and all of his friends and that big gang on Twitter that certainly are going to make his memory live long. You know, within the Team MC hashtag. So like I say, if you can go and donate. I know. There's the link there, as Dan said. Just try and donate what you can. I know everyone's going through a tough time at the minute with COVID and with lockdown. Just if anyone can donate what they can and help towards Mike's funeral, you know, be massively appreciated. So yeah, just, you know, rest in peace, Mike, and it's a shame we couldn't get the win for him tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do something with the channel as well. We'll get some funds together from the channel and donate to his Just Giving page, because as we say, he was such a lovely guy, and we just want the best for his family now. And obviously the Villa fans have already been amazing with the money they've pledged and the support they've given the family. And there's people like Alge on Twitter who've been paying great tribute to him. I know Ben Cash knows him quite well as well, obviously going through a similar thing at the moment, and we send our thoughts and best wishes out to Ben and his family as well, because it must be tough for him seeing what's happened to Mike and knowing what's going on in his life as well. So yeah, we're obviously going to come on here now and moan about Villa a little bit, but as Dolan says, it does put it all into perspective, really. There's much more important things going on in the world, and yes, our football team have lost tonight, and yes, we're all upset about it, but there's people going through far worse things, so we should all be very grateful for that. Bringing the other guys as well now, we've got Neil from the For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast and AVFC Kick Geek, John Inslee as well, geeking out in one of his rare Aston Villa third shirts that he's got on at the moment. I'm sure he's doing just to annoy me. Neil, I'll bring you in first. A frustrating evening, but if we're being completely honest, the best team won. West Ham were the best team in the first half, and they did a job on us in the second half as well, and we didn't really deserve anything from the game, did we?
No, I don't think we did. It was one of those off days. It was one of those days where, we couldn't string passes together, and when we did get it around their area, we everything just kind of broke down. It broke down all that too easily. West Ham came out as I thought they would come out. They would defend with 6 and they would attack with 4. And that's what they did. And when you've got somebody like Mikel Antonio, who didn't have a massive day today, but he just did enough to whereby the 3 guys behind him could just break forward, and the likes of Lingard, and the likes of, well, actually, it was really just Lingard and Benrahma, because Fredericks was, like, looking at Fredericks' heat map here, it's literally, he literally played right back beside Soufal for most of the game. Really well drilled team. I have to say, West Ham were impressive. They really were. We had no right to win any ball in there, and we couldn't get anything going through the middle. We couldn't get anything going down the left hand side. They just played really well, and we didn't come to the races at all today, unfortunately.
Yeah, Dolan. I mean, I look at Villa and West Ham. Obviously, we've been flitting around a similar position as them all season. We've both got relatively small squads in the grand scheme of things. We've both got pretty much 1 goal scorer, 1 striker as well. But that they did a job on us tonight, didn't they? That they stifled Jack. We didn't really adapt to that at any point during the game, except for maybe a brief spell in the last 10 minutes, and we just never got going, as Neil said.
Yeah, and it's one of those games where, I try and look at it. If I'm Dean Smith, I'm going to look at that and go, well, do you know what, boys? We can learn something from that. We can look back and go, well, we just got schooled. We just got schooled by David Moyes, and I know Moyes is going for a lot of criticism over the past maybe 7-8 years, but the guy's managed over 500 games in the Premier League, and he just did a job on us. And his game plan was to stop Grealish, and he stopped him, and that was it. Like, everyone to a man had a quiet night. Jack got hounded by Soufal, had a great game. Frederick had a great game. Lingard was sensational. I mean, I thought he would have been maybe the weakest link, because he hasn't played in so long. You
couldn't tell.
And you couldn't tell he was outstanding. But we just looked knackered, mate. We absolutely shattered, and I think the shift on Saturday took its toll. And I know after the game, the lads got a coach, back in the coach, 3-4 hours in the coach, back to Bodymore Heath. It's tough. It's a tough slog. It's a tough congested fixture list, but listen, we're still sitting 9th in the Premier League. We've still got a couple of games in hand. I'm annoyed, but I'm not as annoyed as I was against Burnley last week. I just think we got beaten better team. We looked knackered. We looked tired, and we looked tired because of the monumental effort that we've put in for the first 20 games of the season. Absolutely, incredible first 20 games. And Martinez, I'm sure we'll touch on that, but maybe probably had his worst game in it. Well, definitely had his worst game in a Villa shirt. But again, I would never going to single him out, because he's been out of this world this season, and we wouldn't be where we are without the likes of Martinez and Jacko and a few others. But listen, it was a bad day at the office, man.
Yeah, I mean, John, I'll bring you in now. I mean, as Dolan just said, we lost having played very well last week, and it was very frustrating. I mean, I think that's 3 Wednesdays in a row we've lost on BT Sport now, so we need to get off there as soon as possible. But tonight, it was justified. I can't really think of a single thing we did well in that game. I mean, if you can think of one, be my guest, but I genuinely can't think of a single thing that we really did well through that game.
No, it's like everyone else has said. We really looked like the lesser team throughout it. They looked comfortable for a change. Normally, this season when I've been watching Villa, we've sort of been the comfortable team, and you haven't been that worried about it. But it looked, as the game went on, looked like it was going to only be them who were going to score. And Villa used to have the habit of anybody needing a goal used to come up against us, and that seems to have happened with Lingard, who's a man on a mission tonight to prove what he could do. And he's sort of gone on and done it. But you're right, we didn't look like we were doing the things we have been doing for the past 20 games of the season, where we've looked strong and we've looked sort of threatening on every attack. They seem to stifle us well. They seem to stop our attacks from sort of making any impact. And you could see that Grealish was trying to move into different places to try and have his impact that he does on the game, because down the left-hand side with Target, the sort of wing that normally sort of produces a lot for us, wasn't doing it.
Yeah, it just wasn't happening at all, was it, Neil? Were you surprised it took so long for us to get wind of that? I mean, to be fair, we must have known what was happening. I think everyone could see it. It was a struggle for Jack Arlett. He was still impacting the game, but he wasn't having as much freedom as he would like. Soufal did a good job on him. Probably, I would say, actually, his performance today was the best defensive performance I've seen against Jack in a long, long time. I think he really made life difficult for him. So I didn't think Barkley was having a great game, if I'm being honest. And then I just think it took us too long to move Jack over. I mean, when we did, we scored. In fairness, were you surprised by how long it took us to adapt to that?
I was, and I wasn't. It was something that I kind of highlighted before the game. I said that the option would be there to move him across and maybe pin back at Jesse Lingard that was just coming into the team. You know, how silly does that look now that I'm saying it after the event? But I think in hindsight is 2020 with regards to the Jack Grealish thing, because I think you have to back him regardless because of the form and the player that he is. I think that, as I said, Soufal was quite good, but the fact that Declan Rice almost slotted in as an extra centre half for an awful lot of tonight. Looking at his heat map, he was in there, and Ryan Fredericks played. They doubled up on him, but it was a case of literally whenever Grealish gets the ball, Soufal was to run to him and just get in around him ASAP. And if he tried to turn back into the centre, Declan Rice was there or Fredericks was there. And then it allowed Soucek then to break forward. But look, they came up with a very good game plan, and it was very David Moyes. You know, you go back to the Everton teams he had when he had the likes of Lee Carsley, Gravison, Phil Neville, even Fellaini. They all played that dirty role in the middle of midfield that would there was shadow in front of the back four. And when he has players like that, they can do it to a great a great extent, like Declan Rice can do, and like Soucek can do. And he's in a better position with those two guys, considering that they're very good with the ball at their feet too, and they can move forward with it. You know, they're the real catalyst for him, and they really work things because, as I say, he's very much a guy who defends with 6 and attacks with 4. And as I say, that was really, you know, we couldn't break that down today, especially as you said when Barkley wasn't at 100%.
Yeah, I mean, Dolan, West Ham are a very physical side. We know that. I mean, they caused us trouble aerially in the game at their place, which we ended up losing 2-1. Do you think in some respects we lack that, and it showed against a team like West Ham? Because other than the 2 centre-backs, there's no real size to our squad, is there?
Yeah, it's the one time when tonight was the one time that I felt our midfield looked a little bit lightweight, and I've never felt that at all this season. They just dominated us across the park. They were big, they were bold, they were strong, they were clever, they were streetwise. They came with a game plan, and you know, you talk about football being a tactical game. I mean, they carried out those tactics to an absolute T, and you just got to give them credit. You know, you got to give them credit, and you got to give Moyes credit. You know, and I know he's worked under difficult circumstances. I know a lot of those West Ham fans didn't want them, and you know, last season and in this season, and he's done such a job. I mean, what an incredible job to get that team where they are with the players they have. And but I just think, as I've said all season, I just think our lack of squad, our lack of depth, up top, it just shows, you know. I think we could easily make 3 or 4 changes on Saturday to freshen things up against Arsenal. But I think after Saturday, I think tonight was just a game too far. And as frustrated as I am, and as peeved off as I am after defeat, because you know, obviously never like to lose, but it's one of those games. You just got to hold your hand up and go, fair play to West Ham, and that's football. Like, that's what it is. Respect to them. They're you know, they're a good club. They're a local club to me. I've got quite a few West Ham fans. I don't know if Dan's watching, big Dan White legend. So respect to them, and I think looking at the game against Liverpool and Brighton, and you saw what happened there. It's football, man. It's football, and it's football in these times. It's just crazy. It's crazy, you know. You look at last night, 9-0. United Southampton. You know, could you imagine doing back-to-back 9-0s in Premier League seasons? So you just got to stick with it. And you know, I know these players will certainly be better for it. And I think you got to try and take these negatives and just turn them into positives. And I think the debrief on Wednesday, on Thursday or Friday, whenever it is, will certainly be an interesting one.
Yeah, because John, we've talked about many times. Every game we've lost, you've come away feeling it was close. That one was, with the exception of maybe the Leeds game before this. But you come away from this one and you just think, yeah, the best team won. But overall, still, there is many positives. And the good thing is, in some ways, I mean, it's a bad thing if you think that we're fatigued. I don't buy that tonight as the reason that we lost at all, because I think West Ham have had a similar amount of games in recent times. But the good thing is, there's another game on Saturday to put it right, and we're an excellent team. We've got a great chance on Saturday, haven't we?
Yeah, and there's players that are going to sort of want to do that as well. You saw against the Burnley game when they had that bad second half against Southampton. They came out and you could see they wanted to improve, and they wanted to come back and prove that point. And we've done that well this season. I think when we've had a little bad run, I think last season it would have turned into 3, 4, 5 games of a bad run. This season we seem to be able to stop the rot quite quickly in terms of bad runs of form. So hopefully against Arsenal we can keep doing that. There is a bit of fatigue in it, I think, but West Ham were just about side tonight. They seem tactically to get it right, and it's a tiny worry that when Grealish is so well marked out the game is a huge struggle for us. And our midfield we're quite comfortably bossed. I do think we'll turn it around on Saturday. I'm not quite as confident for a win, but I definitely think we'll at least draw on Saturday. But I do think this season we've had that ability to stop the rot quite quickly and to stop the runs from going into 3, 4, 5 games, and I think Smith's done really well with the players, and I expect to see the same again on Saturday, as to turn it around and be back at it again.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get a goal each, so I'll come to you first. Now, the first goal that we conceded, I mean, there was a fair bit wrong with it, in fairness. You're the tactics man. You'll dissect it for me, but the gap between the defence and the midfield was frightening, and Souček just in the end has the freedom of the park to lash it home. It's a great finish, and Mings has come close, but I was alarmed by how simple it was and the massive gap between the defence and the midfield. And to be fair, that was a pattern in the first hour where I couldn't believe how far away our midfield was from our defence.
I still don't know what actually happened. I know the ball it didn't stick with Ollie Watkins up front, which was uncharacteristic of him tonight. Usually it does.
You can't knock him for that.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Like, the goal he got was fantastic. But the ball didn't really stick with him. And then it kind of came back quicker, I think, than anyone kind of anticipated. Antonio does really well to hold it up. And then when he does hold it up, it's just, there's players there, as you mentioned. They just broke through the middle. And they broke very quickly through the middle. There was little we could do. Once Antonio got the ball, it was there in a plate for him, to kind of make things happen. And that was the strange part about it, that there was no Douglas Luiz, there was no John McGinn there, there was just no one. There was no one there with our back four to help out. And whether it was because we had pushed forward to try and take that ball once it went into feet once it went into Ollie Watkins, I don't know, but if there was miscommunication or something. But once Souček got it, he was just going to put his laces through it, and he did, and there was no way that Emi Martinez could have saved it.
No, I mean, the space, though, from us having the ball in possession in our own half and pumping it forward, and to get caught like that, one, it's very uncharacteristic, and two, I'd say it's pretty basic.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It is basic. It's not even as just basic. It was like a kick and rush. Like something you'd see in Sunday League, kick and rush, and we just weren't there. And once they got the ball down and they were able to get the ball up to Antonio, it was just a reaction thing. Souček had to run. I don't think Souček broke stride from when he started running to when he actually picked up the ball and then just drilled it home. And it just, like, everything worked out. It looked like a superbly free-flowing goal from West Ham, and the commentators were very complimentary about it. And I think you kind of have to be, that they just took their chance.
It's too easy, though. It's way too easy.
Oh, way too easy. Oh, 100%. And as you say, that it came from the fact that there was just this absolute canyon between the back four, or at least the two centre halves, and where our two midfielders were supposed to be.
Yeah, and Darling, I mean, the second goal, again, it's come from us giving the ball, losing the ball on an attack in our own penalty area. They've just broke with such penetration, something we've done a number of times very, very well this season. It didn't really happen for us tonight. So West Ham have kind of come to Villa Park and done a bit of a Villa on Villa in some ways, but I mean, Martinez, we know, was at fault for the third. He's been exceptional all season. I actually think he possibly should have done better with the second as well. I don't know how you saw it.
He should have saved the second as well. I mean, it went straight under his arm. Again, to literally lose the ball in their penalty box, and then within 2-3 seconds they go down the other end and kill the game off and make it 2-0. People were saying that those 2 goals came from a Martinez mistake, but again, mistakes aside, like, they were putting, as you say, they were in that position far too easily, and mistakes aside, we just got outdone and outthought. And I think the second and third goal was certainly, you'll look back at those and you won't want to see them again. But it's literally the only mistake he's made all season, or the only 2 mistakes he's made all season, and sadly it's led to a goal. And I think, as goalkeepers, sadly your mistakes can lead to goals. It's a pretty unforgiving place on the pitch. You can make a mistake up top, or you can make a mistake in the middle, and you can sometimes get away with it. But fortunately, he's made two pretty big errors that have led to goals, and it's cost us really. But I mean, it's like I say, it is what it is, and I'm not gonna pound him for it.
No, obviously not. We all love Emi Martinez. I mean, to be fair, I'm sat here in his jersey. I've absolutely destroyed him tonight. I've killed the shirt before I wear it, and he has probably his worst game of the season. Feels absolutely typical. But Dolan, that second goal again. It's the reaction to the break and the getting back. What do you put that down to? Do you put that down to fitness? I personally don't put it down to fitness, but do you?
I do. I'm surprised. You can't see that. I'm surprised that. I
just think it's an easy excuse.
Just that that's not an easy excuse. It's an obvious excuse. We look knackered. McGinn was just out of gas. We just looked knackered. Barkley looked knackered. Everyone just looked shattered, mate. Absolutely shattered. So I put it down.
West Ham have had games, and they've got the same sort of squad as us. They've only got one striker. I feel like it's an easy cop out.
No, I don't think it is, because we were flying in December. Should have got something out of the United game at their place on New Year's Day, and then obviously get struck by this COVID, and then we've come back and we've had 3 really, really tough away games, and we've just come back, and it's been 3 games it's been 4 games in 10 days.
West Ham isn't far off that. I bet it's not. I know they've had COVID as badly as us, if at all. But I bet if Dean Smith doesn't come out tonight and blame it on fitness.
Well, he probably isn't going to, because he's not going to want to make excuses for that tonight. But I'm just saying, from what I saw, we just looked knackered. We just looked like a game too far. We looked shattered. We literally made 1 substitution on Saturday night in the 90th minute.
Yeah,
that was it.
Now, yeah.
Looking back at that, as you know, and I know you and Neil discussed it on Saturday about, Smith didn't want to, he didn't want to tinker the shape, and he wanted to keep it fluid, and we were defending as a unit. But you don't go from Saturday's performance at the back to tonight's performance at the back, because you've become a bad player over that past 2-3 days. You get there because you're mentally fatigued, you're physically fatigued. They're just knackered, man. It's just a tough time for everyone. Everyone's going through a tough time. Like, even now, tonight, like, just nobody can go out. No one can. And again, this may be an over the top sort of excuse, but I'm just saying in general, like, it's tough for everyone. Nobody can go out. No one can see their family. No one can see their friends. It's home. They'll go back home. They'll sit indoors. Be back in again probably tomorrow or Friday. Game again on Saturday. Again, there's no respite. You can't go out. You can't unwind. You can't relax. You can't go out for dinner. You can't see your mates for drinks. And these guys are probably finding it as equally as tough as we are. And like I've said at the start of the game, it was a game too far for them tonight, and I thought they looked shattered.
I respect your opinion. I'm not saying you're wrong. That's just my opinion. I don't think you can blame that. Everything you've just said about COVID is completely true. I'm not arguing with it at all. I just think West Ham are going through the same thing, and that they were better than us tonight, and that's the way it was. John, there was a glimmer last 10 minutes. Watkins pulled one back. We'd moved Grealish away from the left. He gets himself down the right-hand side and puts in a lovely, lovely ball. I mean, for all I'm saying about Grealish being shackled this evening, he's still by far our best player. I would say tonight. I don't think anyone else got close to his levels, with perhaps the exception of Watkins, who didn't stop running all night. But he's whipped in a nice ball, and Watkins has tucked it away with aplomb. At that point, there's a glimmer, isn't there? But we, unfortunately, 2-3 minutes later, West Ham score again.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lovely finish from Watkins. Really nice finish. And if nothing else, a positive from tonight's game is him keeping his sort of goal scoring going, and hopefully he can sort of keep this run going into Saturday. So I think that's one of the sort of few positives I think to take from today. And then I think the third goal is just the fact that we have got that glimmer of hope. I think the third goal doesn't come if it's 2-0. I think it was 2-0 and we're not sort of pushing in the way we were 2-1 with that sort of thing. I don't necessarily think it happens, and it's because we've seen that chance, and we know Dean Smith is not one to give up, and that we are chasing everything. Even if we're 2-0 up, we're still going for the third. So at 2-1 down, when we've got that chance to get a goal, we're going all out for it. And Lingard's just had the night of his life to sort of debut a dream, really, to come in and do what he has done. But it's catching us on a break when we're trying everything and sort of to get the equaliser, really. I don't think 3-1 actually, to be fair, is an unfair result either.
No, not at all.
I think they were comfortably the better team. But yeah, I think the positive I think I'd take from tonight is Watkins is still finding a net, and we know goals breed goals, don't they? And confidence is really easy for strikers to sort of use when they're in that. They just sort of seem to take one less touch and just hit things first time, and things seem to go in, which will lead well. I mean, Arsenal number 1 keeper out. If only they had a decent second string keeper that they could have called on. But it'll be interesting on there after such a poor performance from Arsenal in their game. 2 sending offs in a game is never ideal. So it'll be interesting to see how we can come and bounce back, really. But I don't think their third goal necessarily comes if we're not desperately chasing that game.
Yeah, and 9 times out of 10, I'm pretty sure Martinez just catches it, to be honest. I mean, I thought Jesse Lingard had a great game, but if I'm being honest, we made him look better than he is tonight. I mean, his 2 goals are pretty soft, and as I say, I think we gave him a relatively easy night. I thought he actually was better in the first half than he was in the second when he scored 2 goals now.
Yeah, the 2 goals just kind of felt him, really. But like it was, as I say, they just waved forward, when they got going. But yeah, look, I'm really kind of, it's a struggle to kind of, how kind of usually positive and kind of effervescent time, and I can talk about stuff. I'm finding it tough to talk about this game because literally from moment 1 to moment 94, 93 and 94, there wasn't even sporadic outbursts of coherent play from Aston Villa that much. And I think that's fair enough to say, but it's not kicking the guys when they're down. These games are going to happen. And as Chris said, it's just one of those days that Villa were it just didn't go. It just didn't go right for Villa. And I'm sure we can look back and we could equate this game to maybe the first day that we played Arsenal is kind of a reversal of this. Arsenal came into it, and maybe Arsenal were expected to beat Arsenal to beat Villa that day, and Villa come away then with a win, playing some really good free flowing football and looking the better side. And when we're on a run of good form like this, we're really, really good. Or on a good run of good form, should I say? We're really, really good. But we went out against the team today. Jesse Lingard had a point to prove. And he's an inwardly confident, and I would go so far as to even say a cocky guy. He's got 24 caps for England. I think he's got like 4 goals as well for England too. So the boy can play football. And he punished us twice today with 2 goodish strikes. And we can't really complain because from the minute 1 till the end, he kind of did run the show for them.
Yeah, I mean, someone who we're hoping is going to be good at football, Neal Morgan. We saw a brief glimpse of him. He came on, looked hungry for the ball, to be fair to him. And to be fair, when he came on as well, we got the goal pretty much 5 minutes after he entered the pitch, I think.
He did something that I didn't see Barkley doing in this game, and he basically passed the ball off inward into the middle of the field and wanted to make a run past the 2 centre halves. And Barkley didn't do that at all in this game. And that's not to say that that Barkley doesn't do it in other games. I just thought in this game he was kind of a small bit flat-footed. Just didn't really suit him. He made a great point after the Southampton game when he said that he's played more minutes in actual matches than he has in training.
Yeah.
And I know it's all to be said for being match fit and stuff like that, but I think you could see fatigue in Ross Barkley today. And you know me, I'm not a huge believer that they're just running players into the ground for the sake of it. I think there's a massive sports science piece behind this, as highlighted by the guy that they hired yesterday. You know, they obviously have a department. They've hired a head to oversee that department now. And or that department along with other player development pieces. But it's it was just one of those games, I think. And Ross Barkley was tired. He looked tired. He came off. Morgan Sanson came on, and really looking forward to seeing what he is about. I suppose the one kind of question, the substitutes, and it's not really a massive question, is when he brought on Trezeguet and moved Jack into the centre. And I thought that, potentially those days might be gone now that we have Sanson, that we would bring him on and play him through the centre. But look, it didn't happen. And I suppose Dean Smith maybe feels that Sanson hasn't had enough time, enough chemistry with the players there. But when he did come on, he was lively. He had only seven touches of the ball, but, there was decent movement there. I think he looked smaller than I thought he would look. But then again, when anybody who's running past Ogbonna, Soucek, Dawson, Rice, they're all going to look small. You're going to look small unless you're a giant. But he doesn't look 6 foot, is what I'd say. But it's going to be tough to look like a giant in and amongst those guys.
Yeah, Dolan, we made one change tonight. Obviously, Traore came out, who I actually think we really missed. I think he keeps the ball moving quicker for us than perhaps El Ghazi does, and I think Traore has been brilliant over the last few weeks. Do you think you'll see more changes now on Saturday off the back of that? Do you think he will start a couple of fresh faces?
I think he has to. I mean, but again, we haven't got that many to bring in. I think Traore will start. I think El Ghazi, I think he was really, really hard done by to be left out in the first place. He had such a great December, and tonight, didn't happen for him. But
tonight he hasn't played for a month, probably.
Exactly. Tonight didn't happen. Tonight didn't happen for anybody. So, but I do think, again, I think him and Traore's position is so up for grabs. It's literally between the two of them.
And Trezeguet as well.
And Trezeguet, but then, as Neil said, I thought tonight would be the perfect game to early on. I would have moved Jack into the centre because he was obviously being completely isolated out in the wing, and I thought maybe it could be a game where Smith might have maybe threw him into the centre in the first half, or even come out for the second half with him in the centre, because I just felt maybe that kind of game was a game where he could have ran at defenders and caused a bit more havoc playing through the middle. But yeah, I think there'll probably be a few changes. You can't really change that back five.
No, you wouldn't want to.
You wouldn't want to. McGinn and Barkley, maybe you could call one of those guys to have a rest and have a breather. Bring in Sanson. We'll see Traore start for ahead of El Ghazi, and we'll see Watkins stay up front, and I think it'll be Jack on the left. So there's not an awful lot you can change with that 11. There's not an awful lot of options. And even if players have off nights, they're still key for us. McGinn, Barkley, they're still key players for us, regardless if they've had an off night. So there's not many players you can take out of that squad, because when they're on form, they're as we've seen this season, they're a match for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably does us for tonight, but I can see us bouncing back on Saturday. I actually think Arsenal are a decent opposition for us to have on Saturday, and in a lot of ways it will be an easier game than playing against a tough, physical West Ham side. I think playing against Arsenal might suit us a bit more, and actually I can see us getting a result on Saturday more so than I could tonight. Thanks to all of you for joining me. I'm not going to plug all the stuff that I usually plug. Instead, I'm just going to say, please, if you can spare any money to donate to help Mike's family out, then if you could do that, that'd really be great. Support a Villa fans family. He's obviously left 2 little boys behind who are now looking at a life without their dad, which is really, really tragic. Cancer, such a cruel and unforgiving disease. Mike Cafferty, friend of the channel, someone we're all going to miss seeing his presence on social media. So the last thing I'll say is rest in peace, Mike, and I'm sure Villa will do you proud for the rest of the season. Up the Villa.